Welcome to day 2 of the Microsoft 365 Collaboration Conference. My name is Dan Holme. I'm a Principal Product Manager Lead at Microsoft, and it is my pleasure to be back in person with you at the Microsoft 365 Collaboration Conference. We do have a number of people joining us online, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my cell phone around here, and we're going to wave at them and say hi. Say hi, everybody. So these are the folks who are in the room, the brave, the proud, who are here to enjoy the first physical experience of the first hybrid conference. So with that quick introduction, let me switch back to my other camera. So once again, my name is Dan Holme. I'm a Principal Product Manager Lead at Microsoft, and I'm here today to share with you our vision of the future of hybrid work and what that means for people and making your people productive while ensuring that your data is protected and you're able to solve business problems on our platform. I'm going to provide a fairly product-centric view of our strategy, of what is happening in Microsoft 365 and how the pieces fit together to help everyone on the planet achieve more. So let me start by saying an official welcome to you from Microsoft. How many of you is this your first community event? Wow, that's awesome. Welcome. Well, welcome to the best community in tech, the SharePoint community, which has grown to embrace all of the components of Microsoft 365 and all of the people whose careers are built on Microsoft 365 and who deliver value to their customers with Microsoft 365. And a special welcome to you. I'm actually amazed and flabbergasted that your first experience is at this point in time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'd like to also extend a thank you to all of the people who've worked so hard to get through this last crazy year and a half. To the first responders, to the healthcare workers, to the parents and teachers who kept our kids from imploding during this time, to the IT professionals who kept the cloud running and who enabled work and government to keep functioning, and to everyone who lost loved ones and friends or who struggled with these last times. We appreciate what you've been through. We've all been through it together, and thank you so much for taking an hour of your time out of today to join us and talk about Microsoft 365. As we have been through these last 18 months, we've been following the science. We've been doing a lot of research and partnering with organizations like LinkedIn and Harvard Business Review to understand what's happening in the world and the profound impact that these last months have had on the world. And we don't know all the answers, but we follow the science, we understand the questions. And every customer that I talk to, they're talking about two things. They're talking about building organizational resilience in order to adapt to rapidly changing times, whether it's from a pandemic or from challenges with global supply chains or changes to markets or types of challenges like climate. Every organization is trying to build that resilience, that muscle, to be able to adapt faster. And in order to build that muscle, we have to make sure our people are agile. The agility of people, the ability for them to come together and solve problems rapidly and collaboratively, to bring diverse perspectives to a challenge, all of that is so absolutely critical. And that's the role that Microsoft 365 has been playing for these last months. And I'm sure we all have had the realization that if this pandemic had happened 10 years ago before the cloud, it would have been an entirely different story. We're very lucky and very appreciative that our customers have worked so hard to get into the cloud because it's what gave us as a society the resilience we need. Because of the move to the cloud and the pandemic, Microsoft 365 has obviously scaled tremendously. We now have over 145 million daily users in Microsoft Teams. Over 100 petabytes of data are uploaded every month to SharePoint. The increase in scale has been unbelievable as we've worked to support you in the changes that you've been implementing at work and at home and at school. So today we're going to look at Microsoft 365 and take a step back and look at the pieces, how they come together, add some clarity to our product roadmap and our strategy. And we're going to do that by looking at 4 things that Microsoft 365 delivers to you. It protects your data, so that you can ensure that you have the security, privacy, and compliance that even your most sensitive data requires. It enables your people to be productive. It enables your people and teams to be their best. And it provides a platform for you to create solutions, whether you're an end user, a partner, or a developer. So we're going to look at Microsoft 365 from these 4 pivots here. And we're going to start with protection. Satya loves to start by saying Microsoft runs on trust, and that is 100% true. And what does that mean? It means, first of all, that we provide a world-class cloud that is distributed across dozens of data centers around the world, that has the highest levels of security and standards compliance, that is distributed so that we can support customers in every part of the world, and even support customers who have employees in multiple locations. For example, a global customer who has some employees in the United States and some employees in Germany has very different requirements that they have to support, and by using our cloud, they're uniquely able to do that. Secondly, we give you the ability to manage how that data is accessed, to manage the devices that users use to get to data, to manage the locations where they're allowed to get to data, to provide controls against unmanaged devices and applications, and to use Microsoft Information Protection, which is unique in the industry in being able to encrypt your data to secure it from unauthorized access, but still allow you to collaborate with other people, to search for documents, etc. And we give you unmatched compliance controls to manage retention, e-discovery, legal holds. So you can be confident that your data is secure, compliant, and that we're ensuring the highest levels of privacy for you. And on top of that foundation of trust, we've spent decades powering human productivity. And we believe that technology isn't the solution, but rather it is the tool that allows you to amplify human ingenuity. It's really the power of people that get things done. But to do that at scale, and particularly to do that in a world that will be increasingly hybrid, requires technology. And 2 of the components of this that we'll talk about are Microsoft Teams and SharePoint. And over the years, there's been questions that I've gotten occasionally. What's the role of SharePoint now that Microsoft Teams is out? And one of the key takeaways is that it's not either or, it's and. They work together to solve your problems in Microsoft 365. And let's start with Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is our collaboration hub. It's unique in the industry. It has a unique point of view because before Teams came along, there were applications that did pieces of it. There were applications that supported chat or that supported meetings or that supported file sharing. But Teams is unique in that it's a hub for work. It brings together all of those capabilities you need to get your job done. Simply put, it's how you work inside of meetings and how you work outside of meetings. And it does that by bringing together all of the powers of Microsoft 365 so that you can leverage the investments you've made in Microsoft 365, bringing together applications like OneDrive for files, lists, forms, approvals, and the list goes on, all there inside of Teams as a hub for work. And it's important to realize that even with those applications, it's not Teams or OneDrive, Teams or lists. It's and. OneDrive is the application for files. It's how you get to files across all your devices, whether you're on your phone, your Mac, your PC, and it allows you to get to your files inside of Teams. To-do is how you manage tasks, whether you're doing it on your Mac, your PC, your Android, your iOS device, and it's how you do it inside of Teams. So Teams brings these superpowers together that formerly were quite siloed. We worked very hard to sew together the capabilities of Microsoft 365, the services and the experiences into this hub called Microsoft Teams. So do avoid the temptation to think it's an either or scenario. It's and. You get the capabilities of world-class services and experiences, and you have a single pane of glass to access them from. The good news is, from an adoption standpoint, if you're responsible for driving adoption in your organization, you can drive adoption of Teams. Your organization, your IT, needs to support the services and capabilities that you're choosing to deploy through Teams, but your users work through a single pane of glass in Teams. We also have introduced a new capability at Build a couple of weeks ago called collaborative apps. Collaborative apps are a way of pulling together the capabilities of Microsoft 365's platform, including new capabilities we announced a couple of weeks ago, to bring custom solutions into the flow of work. And we're going to see some of those a little bit later in the presentation. And finally, we announced a number of new Teams devices from Microsoft and from partners that will allow us to power the new hybrid workplace. And the new hybrid workplace is a place that people tell us is not going to be the same as it was 14 months ago. The majority of workers expect additional flex time and working from home. A majority of managers tell us it's going to happen. A year and a half ago, when we were in the workplace, we came into a meeting room, and it was almost like the meeting participants were second-class citizens. They were always a little bit behind. It was hard for them to break into the conversation. We know it wasn't the most inclusive way to collaborate back then. Then we got thrown into the pandemic, and all of a sudden, everyone was remote, right? And in a way, that was kind of inclusive because we were all at the same speed, so to speak. We were on the same boat. Now comes the real challenge. Now comes creating a truly hybrid workplace where someone who is in person in a meeting room like we are today and someone who is online have the same experience and are able to collaborate together. And Teams devices will help us do that. Let's take a quick peek at how these devices will unlock the new hybrid workplace.
As the world shifted to remote and hybrid work, we adapted. But in a hybrid work world, we need experiences that allow us to be there, from any place, at any time. The work of the future will be fluid, dynamic, and cloud-powered, with smarter meetings that integrate smoothly into your workflow. Whether you're at home, on-site, or anywhere in between, meetings that you can join seamlessly, that bring us together, that are inclusive, where every voice is heard and everyone clearly represented. We see a future where meetings are immersive and spaces are designed around people, bringing everyone together around the same virtual table, even if they're not in the room, and dynamic meeting views that keep everyone connected to the content and each other, where formal presentations are paired with collaborative chats. Digital canvases unleash group creativity, and everyone can connect face-to-face wherever they are. Meetings of the future will be more intelligent, so you can disconnect when you need to, knowing AI-powered tools have got you covered with follow-ups and action items. Our vision for meetings is grounded in a simple belief. They should offer so much more than a one-time transaction. With intelligent tools and experiences that you can access before, during, and after, meetings of the future will be designed for everyone, whether they're in the room or across the world.
And I'm really excited about this future here. We're building out new spaces with these devices from partners and from Microsoft. Much of the software will run on existing meeting devices. And they do things as simple as making sure that when you're in a room, everyone is at the same eye level, so that you're not having to strain your neck and look around a grid for someone. So you are actually embracing each other in a single hybrid space. So this is going to be an exciting time, and we look forward to sharing that journey with you. Now let's turn our attention to some of the Microsoft 365 experiences that also come to you inside of Microsoft Teams. I mentioned earlier experiences like OneDrive, Planner, Lists, SharePoint, Yammer, Power BI, all come to you inside of Microsoft Teams. Microsoft 365 experiences can thus be woven into the flow of work within a team or a channel. I'm going to talk about one specific experience with you this morning, which is Microsoft Visio. Visio isn't something that usually gets the stage of a keynote in an event, but it's a fantastic application that makes diagramming easy. You can create diagrams, share them, and even build them from data dynamically. And today, we've got actually an announcement to share about Visio, and that is that we are going to be bringing Visio to all Microsoft 365 customers at no additional charge. So you'll be able to access Visio inside of Teams and diagram with your teams. So here's a screenshot of Microsoft Visio running inside of Teams, and you can see that it's just seamlessly integrated. It also will run on the browser, and it will give you the core Visio capabilities for creating, collaborating on diagrams. And we will still continue to have premium SKUs that offer advanced capabilities, but now Visio for everyone. This will be rolling out in the next month in the United States, and then we'll be rolling out globally in October. Cool stuff. There is a session later on today on Visio, so if you're interested in learning more, that session will be available for you from 12 until 1 this afternoon. So we talked about Microsoft Teams as a collaboration hub that brings together the best of Microsoft 365, our devices to allow you to work inside of meetings and outside of meetings. Let's turn our attention to SharePoint. SharePoint is the world's most flexible content platform. For 20 plus years, it's had a unique point of view, which is that we can power collaboration and communication and custom solutions on the web and deliver them to customers through SharePoint and now through experiences like Microsoft Teams. SharePoint has been recognized as a leader by industry analysts. If you look at industry reports, you'll see SharePoint's ahead of the competition. And it's because we've been investing heavily in making sure that we offer best-in-class content management, workflows, compliance, and AI and machine learning. You can have anywhere access to your files. You can access them from Windows, from Mac, from mobile devices, from the web, and from inside Teams. And we support hundreds of file types, so you can actually view and work with files without even needing those applications installed. But it's not just data. It's other data types like lists, videos. You might have heard that Microsoft Stream is being rebuilt on top of SharePoint to make video just like a Word or Excel document in Microsoft 365. So SharePoint gives you anywhere access to all of your data. And we're doing that while powering innovation in Microsoft 365. If people ever suggest to you, hey, is SharePoint still around or is Microsoft investing in it? The answer is yes, absolutely. In fact, we just delivered one of the most anticipated new features, which is called the app bar in SharePoint, that allows you to provide navigation and quick access to files, news, and sites from anywhere in your intranet. And we announced Viva Connections, which brings your SharePoint home site into Microsoft Teams in a unique and powerful way to drive employee experience. That's something that we'll talk about in a little bit as well. We're also powering new experiences in Teams with dynamic pages and lists, collaboration in Office. If you've ever done an app mention or comment on an Office document, that's powered by SharePoint. Stream, as I mentioned, is being replatformed with Teams meeting recordings already being stored in SharePoint for most users. 2 Viva apps are powered by SharePoint, and the new Fluid framework that we've been sharing with customers since the early days of its inception 2 years ago is built on SharePoint storage platform as well. So SharePoint is alive and well and powering an incredible set of content experiences across Microsoft 365. Again, seamlessly integrated with Teams. So if your users are in Teams, they're working on files, they're sharing lists, they're reading news, they are using SharePoint inside of Teams. In addition, SharePoint is not just a set of applications and experiences, it is a platform. And we've continued to invest in the platform that allows you as a developer to build custom solutions on top of SharePoint using the SharePoint framework, and to use graph APIs to access data, and use the SharePoint framework to create UI components with JavaScript that users can recompose on the page. But you don't even have to be a developer to create solutions on SharePoint, because with the Power Platform, specifically Power Automate and Power Apps, you can create custom solutions with no code that run even inside of Microsoft Teams. So SharePoint is both an app and a platform powering experiences in Microsoft 365. A couple of weeks ago, SharePoint turned 20, and we created a video to celebrate it. Let's take a look. So we've looked at the tools that power productivity in an organization, but we know that technology is not the solution. Every good leader knows it's people who really make the difference in an organization. And there's only so far you can push people with productivity before it starts to be unsustainable. And so Microsoft is also heavily invested in driving people experiences that allow people to connect and engage and support their well-being and development in an organization so that they are able to activate that potential that can then be amplified through technology. And we're going to look at two key experiences in Microsoft 365 that are core to helping people at work, starting with Yammer and then Microsoft Viva, and specifically Viva Connections. Let's start with Yammer. And we're going to start with Viva.
The new Yammer connects people across the organization, enabling you to build communities, share knowledge, and engage employees. Communities break down barriers to bring people together wherever they are and however they work. Communities connect knowledge across teams and departments. You can use Yammer to ask questions, loop in experts, and flag best answers. Leaders can use Yammer to drive culture and align the organization. Host company-wide events with live and on-demand video to share vision, celebrate progress, gather feedback, and spark engagement. Communicate with the entire organization or specific communities. Share updates, polls, links, and even videos. Need to land an important message? Post and pin announcements to notify people on their mobile devices and in their inbox. The new Yammer comes to you on web, mobile, and in the apps you use every day, like Outlook, SharePoint, and Microsoft Teams. And as part of Microsoft 365, you're protected with enterprise-grade security and compliance. Yammer keeps your finger on the pulse of what's happening and lets you share what's happening to you. From the top floor to the shop floor, Yammer gives everyone a voice and a place to share, listen, and to learn. Whether you're onboarding a new employee, crowdsourcing the next big idea, or responding to customer needs, the new Yammer connects people to people, so everyone can achieve more together. Communities, knowledge, engagement. Yammer.
So as the video suggests, Yammer Communities connect people across the organization. Yammer's superpowers are communities, which are open, discoverable places for people to have conversations and to connect, to create those extended networks that research say is so critical to employee well-being and success in the hybrid workplace. It's critical that people connect outside their work groups to the rest of the organization, that they feel included, that they have resources that they can reach out to when they need answers, and that they are able to understand the culture and the direction of the organization. So Yammer has these product superpowers that it brings to the suite. First, communication and engagement at scale. Yammer Communities are a place where open conversations can happen between people horizontally in an organization, from the bottom up or from the top down, and it can happen at enormous scale. We have customers with hundreds of thousands of people in communities, and particularly for large organizations, communities play a vital role in driving communication and shaping culture. Second, conversations for groups and entities. For those of you who've known Yammer in the past, you've certainly thought of Yammer conversations happening in the context of a community. And that is certainly true, continues to be true. People can come together and have conversations about topics or interests or get answers to questions, etc. But increasingly, you'll see Yammer powering conversations on other entities in Microsoft 365. Today in Yammer, for example, you'll see SharePoint news, and you can have a conversation on that news item that's powered by Yammer. You'll see conversations associated with topics in Microsoft Viva. We've shown off the ability to go to Viva and ask a question about a topic, and Viva is able to loop in the experts to provide the answers for you. And we'll be introducing conversations to new entities in the near future. Those conversations are discoverable in a unique way. When you have a conversation in Yammer, by default, it's open, meaning other people in the organization will have the ability to benefit from what you share, and you'll have the ability to contribute to or benefit from what they share. And that drives a sense of personal connectedness and network that's critical to the success of people. As we mentioned earlier, our research shows that your extended network is one of the key factors in success and well-being within an organization. So those are the superpowers of Yammer. And one of the key questions I get all the time, especially these days, is why is Yammer still important when we have Microsoft Teams? So let's spend a few moments talking about that. I see some people nodding their heads. Hopefully some folks online are nodding their heads as well. Remember, Microsoft Teams is a hub for work. It is what you tell your users they should be using when they're working with Microsoft 365, right? But that does not mean that they do everything in a chat, right? There's also channels. There's meetings. There's different types of experiences in Teams that allow people to connect and communicate and collaborate in ways that are uniquely suited to specific human needs. So Microsoft Teams as a hub for work is where people come together to get stuff done with their work group. They can chat, they can collaborate, they can meet, they can call, they can automate business processes, all of these things that people need to do on their teams. Now, I'm going to tell you something that you might not hear a Microsoft person say very often, and you can quote me on this. You don't need Yammer if you know everyone in your organization and you work with them on a regular basis. If you don't know everyone in your organization, how are you going to tap into knowledge that's outside of your work group? How are you going to get answers to questions you need? How are you going to discover new ideas? Those kinds of scenarios are critical to connect people outside their work groups and across the organization, and that's the role of Yammer. Yammer connects and engages people across the organization so that leaders can engage directly with employees at scale. A number of our customers use Yammer to connect the headquarters to the front line so that the CEO can hear what's going on directly from the people on the shop floor and interacting with customers. I had one leader of one of the Fortune 10 companies tell me, I don't need Yammer as a megaphone, I need Yammer as a stethoscope. I want to hear what's going on in my organization. Communicators need to be able to reach people no matter where they work. If you're a communicator and you're trying to share news, do you want to go to 25 different teams or 50,000 different teams to share that news? Or do you want a single place to reach your audience? And communities then allow people to come together around shared interests or topics or passions and create that connectedness that's not necessarily aligned with any one specific workflow. People can come together and share knowledge, answer questions, share ideas. And communities create a sense of inclusion so people can feel part of a bigger whole. Certainly one of the long-standing success stories for Yammer is how it helps organizations with supporting employee interest groups so that people can find like-minded or people with like experience in an organization and share that experience. That certainly has proven extremely important in Microsoft over the last couple of years, where communities within Microsoft have needed to come in together to support each other during these very challenging times. So Yammer or Teams? No, it's Teams and Yammer. Together, inside of Teams, they allow you to connect everyone, working together in work groups or connecting across the organization to share knowledge, create a culture of inclusion, scale the vision of leadership, and share news. And the best thing is these two do come together now. Last summer, we introduced the Communities app for Microsoft Teams. It is not there by default. An end user can install it or IT can deploy it. And that can be then pinned in Teams so it's available there and people can access their communities from wherever they are in Microsoft Teams. So let me actually share a very quick demo here. And first, this is a Visio diagram inside of Teams. We mentioned that Visio will be available to Microsoft 365 customers at no additional charge. And then here on my app bar, I have the Communities app. So the Communities app gives me quick access to conversations and communities across my organization. And at Microsoft, as at many other organizations, we rely on Yammer extensively, for example, to shape the culture of our organization. We have a community called CEO Connection, where employees can come and engage directly with leaders. It gives you a direct forum to express concerns, to share ideas, to ask questions, and leaders engage and respond authentically. And this has been one of the key tools that Satya and his leadership team have used over the past 6 or 7 years to drive the culture of Microsoft, to get people onto the same page, talking about the same values, understanding shared challenges. This is where we come together as an organization and work through things. You'll also see on my navigation underneath CEO Connection, we have a community for SharePoint. This is a community that the SharePoint product team that works in a team in Teams, it's a community they use to reach out to the rest of the organization. So if anyone in the organization needs to know of an upcoming change, they share it in that community. If anyone in the organization has a question about SharePoint or a customer who's having challenges, the field will ask that question in that SharePoint community and the SharePoint product team can engage. It's like their front door to the rest of the organization. And then the last one there under my favorites is a similar group for Yammer, where we have a community that the field uses to ask questions, get answers, we use to share information. So those are just a few examples of how the Communities app inside of Teams can really power some awesome ways to engage across the organization. And again, if you're driving adoption in your company, you don't have to tell people Teams and Yammer. You just tell them, go to Teams. You've got chat, where you do these things. You've got Teams, where you have to find your channels and you do other sorts of things, collaborate and meet. And you've got communities where you connect outside your work groups. It's actually a pretty easy story. I know we haven't made it easy. I'll take ownership for that, and some people are chuckling here. But we are now owning that. And the Communities app in Teams is a really great experience. Our feedback from customers, our telemetry is fantastic. And we're going to be investing a lot in the future of Yammer, both as a standalone application and inside of Teams. For those of you who join us in December in Vegas, we've got some wickedly amazing things that you're going to go, oh, wow, I never saw that coming. But it is all about connecting people across the organization to foster connectedness through conversation, in communities, and on content. So that's Yammer. Let's turn our attention now to Microsoft Viva. Because it's critical that we foster well-being and learning and growth, we introduced a new product called Microsoft Viva that is our employee experience platform. It allows people in teams to be their best by bringing those key employee experiences into the flow of work, so that learning, communication, knowledge sharing, and well-being just become part of what you do every day. Microsoft Viva is an employee experience platform, meaning that we are delivering new modules, 4 modules specifically at first, to support employee experience, but it's a platform that can be extended by partners and developers to integrate existing solutions like Workday, SAP SuccessFactors, et cetera, or to innovate new solutions. The 4 initial modules, Connections, Insights, Topics, and Learning, come to you as Teams applications. So once again, it's Viva and Teams. Teams is the hub. Viva is powering these incredible experiences. And Viva builds on Microsoft 365. It brings together capabilities of SharePoint, Yammer, Stream, Power Platform, and brings it into Teams to support these scenarios. And for those of you who are newer to all of this, that's all you need to know. For those of you who've been around the block a few times, like me with a lot of gray hair, this is actually pretty amazing, because this is truly the power of the cloud. In the past, when we were on premises, if a company was to deliver a whole new product, there would have been a whole new platform that you would have had to deploy. You would have had to migrate data from point A to point B. You would have had to retrain people how to use this new thing. Now that we're in the cloud, it's just an evolution where the content and the signals you're creating already with SharePoint, Yammer, Stream, the apps you're building with Power Platform, just suddenly get a whole new set of superpowers through Microsoft Viva. No migration necessary, just an opportunity to deliver new value to your people. And again, all of this is customizable. So you can tailor these experiences, in many cases with no code. You can integrate third-party applications, and you can build solutions on top of this platform. Now, Microsoft Viva, again, has 4 modules: Connections, Insights, Topics, and Learning. Let's take a quick look at Viva. In this particular video, I'm going to narrate us through. What we're going to be looking at is Viva's employee experience module called Connections. You can see we're in Teams, and we're running as a customized application in the upper left corner, customized with the name of your company. There's a personalized feed of news and conversations coming from SharePoint and Yammer. So all of that activity that's happening in those 2 applications come up and surface both on desktop and mobile. There's also a dashboard that gives you quick access to information, and you can tap into these cards and perform tasks like checking in with a health process or requesting time off. And this dashboard can be customized for each employee role. So for example, you might have certain apps that are necessary for your frontline workers, managing shifts, for example, and other experiences you want to drive for your back-end office staff. And Microsoft Viva delivers this tailored, targeted employee experience inside of Teams across desktop, web, Mac, PC, iOS, and Android. The desktop experience is available today. The mobile experience will be coming out later this summer. And this is, to me, a holy grail. Having spent about 15 years in SharePoint, and about 10 now with Yammer, it's an incredible experience to see these things coming together along with the dashboard and a really bespoke mobile experience to deliver what I know customers have been looking for a very long time. And this is all very accessible. Connections builds on top of SharePoint and Yammer. It's free, did we mention? And you can customize these cards with relatively straightforward customization models like actionable cards. It's pretty awesome. In addition to the experiences that we provide out of the box, we've talked about a number of them so far: Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, Visio, Yammer, Microsoft Viva. We introduced a new term, collaborative applications. And these collaborative applications are a new way of delivering solutions in the flow of work, bringing any business process into human workflows. So what this means is that you can create collaborative applications that give users a single place to work, Microsoft Teams. If you're a developer or a partner, you can build these collaborative apps and reach hundreds of millions of Teams users. And if you're IT, you have a single pane of control for managing security, privacy, compliance, and managing your service. A lot of this is built on Microsoft Teams extensibility. There's a lot of information out there for developers on how to build for Teams. We had a set of great announcements last month that build on meeting extensions, which are new ways of adding functionality to meetings, basically adding an app to a meeting so people can use things like forms or really anything. And for developers, they can build all of this with Microsoft Graph, our REST API for accessing all of your enterprise data inside of Microsoft 365. And as part of Microsoft 365, the Graph respects all of the security and privacy and compliance controls you've implemented. And the Graph, importantly, now allows you to integrate third-party systems into Microsoft 365. If you missed this, this is a really key announcement over the last year. A year ago, Microsoft Graph was basically an enormous set of data and signals from the content and activity that your people create inside of your organization. While we call it Microsoft Graph, it's really your graph. It's the stuff that's happening in your organization. We have AI and machine learning that reasons over that and provides insights to your people. You own that. It never goes outside of your organization. But it was, let's call it internal. It was in the Microsoft cloud. A lot of customers have really critical processes and systems outside of the Microsoft cloud. Apps like SuccessFactors, like Workday, the list goes on and on and on. A Salesforce. And they wanted to integrate that data and that activity into Microsoft 365 so that it would be a first-class citizen. It would show up in search. It would be available for developers to access through Microsoft 365 APIs. It could contribute to experiences like Viva Topics. And so last year we put into preview, and at Build we released to general availability what are called Microsoft Graph connectors. And those connectors literally connect Microsoft 365 to your external systems and bring in that data so that it is a first-class citizen of Microsoft 365. And we have a dozen or so connectors that we built out of box that are free of charge. There's also well over 100 connectors built by partners. So pretty much any system that you want to connect to, you can now. And I know for sure, when I search at Microsoft, I see knowledge base articles coming from ServiceNow, and I see all kinds of other content coming from external systems, and it really does help me get my job done more effectively. And finally, one of the things we're most proud of at Microsoft 365 is that we don't try and do it all ourselves. We are able to do a lot, but we have limited resources like every other company on the planet, and we have a great set of friends. We've got one of the largest and most robust partner ecosystems in the world. So whatever we're not doing out of the box, you can find solutions from our partners, and of course, developers can build on this platform as well. There's a set of great partners here today, so make sure to say hello to them, but also know that if you ever get to a point where your business need can't be met out of box with Microsoft 365, your question shouldn't be, what should we use instead? Your question should be, what can we get that builds on top of Microsoft 365 and gives us the solution we need? It will almost always be both cheaper and easier to manage, and it will meet your needs. So do look out at the ecosystem. It's a phenomenal ecosystem that we've got. So we've taken a tour of Microsoft 365. We've started with protection. Microsoft runs on trust. Productivity, looking at Microsoft Teams as a productivity hub that brings together Microsoft 365 experiences like Visio, and SharePoint as a content platform. We looked at what you can do to empower people, connecting them across the organization with Yammer and delivering a world-class employee experience with Microsoft Viva, and the platform that allows developers and partners to build incredible solutions on top of Microsoft 365. All four of these pieces are important, but in the end, it is about empowering every person on the planet to achieve more. And productivity and people is what moves the world forward. And thank goodness for the developers and the IT pros who ensure that we can do that while protecting our data and can solve new business challenges every single day along the way. So with that, I want to say thank you. And please do connect and follow. I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter, so you can find me there if you've got any questions. My email is also just dan.holme@microsoft.com, so you're welcome to reach out anytime. Well, once again, thank you. Thank you for those folks who joined us online. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day wherever you are and joining us. And hope you can join us in person in Vegas. For those of you in the room, fantastic to be in a room with you. I'm here, so we'll shut down the event. If you've got any other questions, you're welcome to come up and ask. Can't tell you how grateful I am that you're here, and can't tell you how grateful all of us at Microsoft are for everything you've done over the past year to help people be productive and well. So be well yourselves. Thank you, and have a great time at the Microsoft 365 Collaboration Conference. Take care.